Eleanor ran her fingers across the aged parchment. The map, dated 1770, depicted a landmass she had never seen before. It sprawled across Eurasia, dwarfing the familiar shapes of Europe and Asia. Great Tartary, the inscription read, a name lost to the annals of time. She traced the lines of a vast empire, crisscrossed by rivers and dotted with cities bearing names like Samarkand and Astrakhan. It was a realm of forgotten grandeur, wiped clean from the maps of the world. A chill ran down her spine as her gaze fell upon a small faded inscription at the map's edge. "They will forget, but the stone remembers." The words resonated with an unsettling power, a whisper from a civilization lost but not forgotten. The map had ignited a spark of curiosity in Elena, a historian obsessed with uncovering the hidden truths of the past. This was not just a map, it was a puzzle box, and she was determined to unlock its secrets. What was Tataria, this empire lost to time? Who were its people, and what led to their disappearance from the world stage? The questions swirled in Elena's mind, compelling her to embark on a quest for answers. The map was her guide, a breadcrumb trail leading her deeper into the labyrinth of history. She felt an inexplicable connection to this forgotten civilization, a sense of purpose that propelled her forward. Elena knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges. The official narrative of history often concealed more than it revealed. Power dynamics and political agendas had a way of distorting the truth. But she was undeterred, armed with her unwavering curiosity and the whispers of the past. Elena was prepared to challenge the accepted narrative and unearth the truth about Tataria, no matter the cost. The deeper Elena delved into her research, the more astounded she became. Fragmentary accounts from travelers and diplomats painted a picture of Tataria as a civilization unlike any other. They spoke of towering white cities shimmering under a sun that seemed to reflect off an unknown energy source. These were not the crude settlements described in some historical accounts. These were metropolises of advanced design and sophisticated infrastructure. Witnesses marveled at the Tatars' mastery of energy. Towering structures, capped with gleaming white stone, were rumored to harness the power of the ether, a concept far ahead of its time. The air hummed with a subtle energy, powering homes and illuminating streets with a brilliance that rivaled the sun. Legends whispered of flying ships propelled by forces unknown to the Western world, soaring effortlessly across the vast expanse of Tataria. But it was the Tatars' societal structure that truly captivated Elena's imagination. They lived in a state of harmony, not just with each other but also with nature. Their cities were designed to integrate seamlessly with the surrounding environment, a testament to their deep respect for the natural world. Education was paramount in Tatarian society, and knowledge was freely shared among all its citizens. Disease and poverty, plagues upon so many civilizations, were said to be non-existent in Tataria. They had seemingly achieved a utopia, a society that had transcended the limitations of the human condition as understood by the West. The more Elena learned, the more convinced she became that Tataria was not merely a lost civilization. It was a forgotten beacon of human potential. The question that haunted her was, what had happened to this advanced and enlightened society? As Eleanor pieced together the fragments of history, a chilling narrative began to emerge. The fall of Tataria, she realized, was not a natural disaster or a simple conquest. It was a systematic dismantling, a deliberate erasure from the collective memory of the world. Whispers of a grand conspiracy echoed through her research, hints of powerful forces threatened by Tataria's advanced knowledge and societal harmony. The seeds of destruction, it seemed, were sown by envious empires and power-hungry individuals. They looked upon Tataria's prosperity and technological prowess with greed and fear. The very existence of such an advanced civilization challenged their dominance, their control over resources and knowledge. And so they conspired to bring about its downfall. The assault on Tataria was multifaceted, a carefully orchestrated campaign of disinformation and destruction. Maps were redrawn, erasing the empire from existence. History books were rewritten, omitting any mention of Tataria's grandeur or its people's accomplishments. The victors wrote the history, and they ensured that Tataria would be relegated to the dustbin of forgotten empires. But the physical eradication of Tataria was equally brutal. A series of catastrophic events, too coincidental to be natural, devastated the empire. Fires raged through its magnificent cities, reducing architectural marvels to smoldering ruins. Earthquakes shattered the land, swallowing entire communities. Devastating floods swept across the plains, leaving behind only debris and despair. By the early 1800s, Tataria had vanished from the maps, its people dispersed, absorbed into other cultures, or simply silenced. The world had forgotten, or so it seemed. Section 4, The Great Erasure, Rewriting the Past. The systematic erasure of Tataria extended far beyond maps and official records. Textbooks, those gatekeepers of knowledge for generations, played a crucial role in cementing the empire's oblivion. Elena scoured countless textbooks, both old and new, only to find a deafening silence where Tataria's story should have been. The narrative of history, as presented in these educational cornerstones, skipped seamlessly over any mention of the empire, its people, or its accomplishments. It was as if Tataria had never existed, a void in the timeline of human civilization. The textbooks, Elena realized, were not merely omitting information. They were actively shaping a distorted version of the past, one that served the interests of those who sought to maintain control over the narrative. The education system, often touted as a beacon of enlightenment, had become a tool for perpetuating a carefully constructed lie. Even the architectural marvels that had survived the destruction of Tataria were not safe from the Great Erasure. Elena discovered that many structures, clearly bearing the hallmarks of Tatarian design, had been reattributed to other cultures or dismissed as anomalies. The magnificent white stone buildings, with their intricate carvings and advanced energy-harnessing features, were rebranded as Roman, Greek, or even early Islamic constructions. The truth Elena knew was far more sinister. The powers that be had gone to great lengths to erase any trace of Tataria's existence, to deny its people their rightful place in history. It was a calculated campaign of cultural genocide designed to erase not just a civilization, but an entire worldview, one that threatened the established order. And the textbooks, those seemingly innocuous repositories of knowledge, had become unwitting accomplices in this grand deception. Section 5 whispers in stone. The evidence remains. Despite the meticulous efforts to erase Tataria from history, remnants of its existence persisted, whispering the truth to those who knew where to look. Elena, driven by an insatiable thirst for knowledge and a deep-seated belief in the power of truth, became a detective of sorts, piecing together the fragments of a shattered past. She pored over ancient maps, comparing them to modern cartography, searching for the telltale signs of tampering and alteration. The maps, she discovered, were a treasure trove of clues, coastlines that no longer matched up, place names that had vanished, and entire land masses that had been redrawn or simply erased. All pointed to a deliberate manipulation of geographical reality. It was as if someone had taken a giant eraser to the map of the world, attempting to wipe away any trace of Tataria's existence. But the evidence went beyond cartographic anomalies. Elena began to notice a recurring pattern in photographs from the 1800s, images captured during a time when photography was still in its infancy. These photographs, often depicting bustling cityscapes and grand exhibitions, revealed a curious detail. Structures that seemed strangely out of place, buildings that possessed an architectural sophistication far exceeding the known capabilities of the era. The official explanations for these architectural marvels often strained credulity, attributing their construction to long-lost Roman techniques or dismissing them as elaborate facades. Eleanor, however, saw through the deception. These buildings, she realized, were not Roman or Greek or Islamic. They were remnants of Tataria, physical echoes of a civilization far more advanced than history had led us to believe. The evidence was staring the world in the face, hidden in plain sight. Section 6. The Digital Awakening, Unearthing the Truth. The advent of the digital age, with its unprecedented access to information and its ability to connect individuals across vast distances, breathed new life into the search for Tataria. Elena, armed with the tools of the digital revolution, found herself at the forefront of a growing movement. A global network of researchers, historians and truth-seekers united by a shared fascination with this forgotten empire. Online forums buzzed with discussions about Tataria, its history, its technology, and its mysterious disappearance. Researchers shared their findings, comparing notes and collaborating on projects that would have been impossible in the pre-digital era. The internet, once dismissed by some as a breeding ground for misinformation, had become an invaluable tool for uncovering the truth. Digital archives, once the exclusive domain of academics and institutions, opened their virtual doors to the public, making a wealth of historical documents, maps and photographs available to anyone with an internet connection. Eleanor spent countless hours scouring these archives, unearthing long-forgotten accounts of Tataria, travelers' diaries, diplomatic correspondences, and even fragments of what appeared to be scientific treatises. The digital world, Eleanor realized, had the power to break down the walls of censorship and control that had kept Tataria hidden for so long. The truth, once buried under layers of deceit and disinformation, was beginning to resurface, bubbling up from the digital underground, carried on a wave of online discussions, shared research, and a collective desire to reclaim a forgotten past. The digital awakening had begun, and with it, the hope that Tataria's story would finally be told.